We're here with Elisha.
Hi.
Yay! And she's going to be doing my color analysis. This has been one of the most requested videos that you guys have asked me to do, I think ever on my channel actually, because if you have not seen it, the color analysis has been popping off everywhere on the internet. Mainly being TikTok, but I've seen a few videos and things on Instagram and YouTube, but people have been going crazy about getting their color analysis done. And I have been too, honestly. I've done a few of the little TikTok filters trying to figure out what season I am based on my skin tone, my eye color, my hair color, and it's been all the rage. But other than the little TikTok filter, I haven't dug any deeper into the color analysis world. So based on your guys' requests and recommendations, I have finally done it. I booked myself in to go do a color analysis, all in the efforts and the hopes of finding out what season I am. And why would we do this, you might ask? Because some of you might be like, ugh, what's the point? I don't care. And I agree, but I also think it's a fun thing to do, and it can also be beneficial for those of us who are kind of unsure about what colors really suit us. It's kind of a little easy street, a little cheat code in trying to figure out what shades suit you best. It will help in your everyday styling and getting dressed. It helps in your shopping process when you're able to just kind of pinpoint what colors suit you best and maybe which colors just naturally enhance your features. So it's a fun thing to do, and I understand why it's so viral right now and so many people are talking about it, because it is interesting. Even though we might naturally gravitate towards specific colors, it's kind of nice to get that little stamp of approval that, like, yes, you're on the right track. These are the colors based on everything about yourself that suit you the best. So it was a really fun thing to do, and I finally did it. I booked in. The deed has been done, and I want to talk to you about my results just in case there are those of you who have been curious about the entire color analysis process and if it's worth your time or money to do the same. But there's also a way that you can do it for free, which I'll talk about later as well, so stay tuned. So I wanted to do a color analysis in person because I wanted it to be like all the videos I've seen where they just have, you know, a ton of different bits of fabric and they're putting it up to your face and you can see the magical glow and change in your face depending on the color. So I just went into Google and I was like, color analysis Vancouver, and honestly a few options popped up. It is a popular thing. I found Elisha, who is based in Vancouver, and she does the color analysis at her home, and I booked in and went to see her. Honestly, she was amazing. Her little booking process was so lovely. The appointment was 1 hour and I scooted up to her house and met her. She was so cute. You can tell that she has obviously studied color analysis because her makeup and outfit and everything, I was like, wow, you look great. She was a true winter. But when I met her, I was so excited, and she had a lovely rack of all of the different colors and options and the little color wheels and things. The first thing that we wanted to determine was what season I am, because based on that, you kind of go forward and do the rest of the fun little bits. So we went through all of the seasons.
So we're starting with the softer spring. So this is the softer, warmer tone palette from the spring. And this one's light spring. So the light kind of pastel warmer tones, and this one's bright spring, so very bright, vibrant warm tones. So this is the cool tone palette. It's a lighter cooler tone. So this is soft summer, softer and muted tones, and this is light summer, so cool tone pastels. So pale winter, paler and cooler.
I think it's fresh.
This is a deep winter. So darker shades.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Yeah, these are the ones we said no from the previous ones.
Yeah.
Bright winter, so brighter.
It's brighter.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I think some of the color maybe the fusion. Yeah, that would be okay, but maybe not so much of these ones in the middle. So starting with autumn bright, so brighter and warm tones. Autumn deep.
Love.
Deeper and darker earthy tones.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the autumn soft. So softer, earthy tones.
Yeah, the deep autumn for sure was the best.
Yeah, the deeper. I think even the brighter I don't mind. So let's compare the warmer and cooler tones. Yeah, so this is the winter compared to autumn.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, this is a little too intense and a little too pale look.
And it was kind of tough because there were a lot of colors that maybe I could have worked with. I didn't necessarily like 100% fall into one season, which I think is the case for a lot of people. There were a lot of colors that were just like a hell no. Like the very bright pastels, the very like neon colors were just an absolute no for me. Some of those really like very bright, very colorful like spring colors were a no-no for me, but as well as the true winter shades, some of them were just like, ooh, it was kind of crazy. As she was sitting there holding all of the colors up to your face, you could really see how bright some colors made your face look, how kind of like warm and healthy some colors would look. It literally makes my face look warmer. And then you'd put up another one and you'd look like
this one almost make you look green.
Yeah, it does. I don't know how much that shows on the camera and in the footage that I took, but in person it was crazy how much of a stark difference it was. And then just going between the different shades and the different color families, when you're going through all the blues, when you're going through each of the greens, going through each of the reds.
I start with a warmer tone, so this is a warm tone color, and this is a cool tone.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so warm and cool. Spring. And this is summer.
I love this color. Yeah.
And then this is autumn.
Ooh, that's nice too.
And this is winter.
I don't like them. No.
A little too, I think this is a little too much. So warmer color and cooler tones.
I kind of like both of those, honestly. This I love.
Yeah, this is the mustard.
This is terrible on me.
Yeah, this is
the like neon.
Yeah, because this is too pale and too bright.
Is this winter?
Yes, this is pale winter. But it brings out a lot of the blue and brings out a lot of like the gray on your face. If you compare these two.
This one makes me look healthy.
Yeah, and this one maybe it looks like
jaundice.
And watch this out lip color too. Yeah, right? That's why you look a bit more sick, because it's very, very pale.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, this one you look like healthy and radiant, and then as soon as get to this one, yeah, you look overall.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is this is fall?
Yeah, this is the autumn color.
That's nice. Love.
But this one, I think my only problem is like maybe it's a little blue, you know, like around your eyes, like underneath your eyes. Yeah, a bit more even, a bit brighter. So orange, red. This is fuchsia.
This one's really nice.
Yeah, the burgundy red. And then, yeah, this
one's like sick a little. It's funny, it looks so different in the camera than it does in person.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny, right? Because these two are so close to each other. Like these two colors are so close. But it still does make a difference.
Maybe if I had a tan. Oh, that's just a hell no.
Yeah, the taupe. Not the taupe.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, this is, lighter, kind of gray neutral. Slightly darker.
Ooh, love that.
Darker gray and dark brown. So you notice as we go darker, like your face looks a bit more defined. And then when the lighter colors on, you looks washed out.
It brings the pink.
Yeah.
And the blue. Yeah, yeah, big time. Oh my god, I'm burning all of my light clothing.
No pastels.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
Yeah, like I feel like your face even looks a bit more plump with the dark.
Yeah, right? Crazy, like literally brighter.
Yeah.
It was so wild to see how much of a difference, how much brightness it brought into your face or lack of brightness. And just kind of flipping between the three, you could really pinpoint which colors really make you look alive and which colors make you look very sickly. Basically, we determined my season and she determined that I was a deep autumn. I'm a deep autumn. And it was kind of funny because I was thinking that I was gonna be like a spring or a summer because there's so many of those like fresh baby blue shades that I love so much. Like my cool toned pinks, the lavenders, the baby blues, like there's so many of those shades that I love. But when she said deep autumn, I was like, you know what? That makes sense. That does make sense for me. So deep autumn was number one. My secondary one, sorry, I've got my little chart here, was soft autumn. And then my third was spring soft. And those were those really muted, like the baby blues, the lilacs, the really soft pinks, those kind of muted pastel shades were the ones that suited me best. So that was very interesting to see. I'm a deep autumn. So some of the shades that came up in the deep autumn category were those more like warmer, deeper neutrals, like a really rich chocolate brown, a really rich kind of dark forest green, and a lot of those deeper, warmer, orangey reds, burgundies, rust colors. It was very much a color family that I feel strongly towards, and that those are definitely some of the colors that I really naturally gravitate toward. And I really do feel strongly about the fall season. So this makes sense. Love that. Deep autumn, we're rocking with it. And so after my session, when I got home, I wanted to Google more things about deep autumn because I was like, perfect, now I know what my season is. I want to go and find all of these things. So I found a bunch of different little collages of all the shades and the colors and inspirations behind the deep autumn season that I've newly discovered that I am. And I was like, perfect. I would love to just make this my entire personality. No problem. But for those of you who have been guessing along with me all this time, guessing on all the filters on TikTok, I'm a deep autumn. So that was very fun to find out. And fun fact for you, based on my very swift Google search, deep autumn eyes are typically brown, hazel, or green. Some individuals may also have a gray-brown mix, which give their eyes a muddy appearance. But I was like, perfect. I've always thought I have like more hazily green eyes. It kind of depends on what I'm wearing, honestly, what eye color my eyes look. And deep autumn hair types are often dark, brown or black with hints of mahogany, red, opal, or gold. We also apparently love more saturated colors and more cooler toned soft colors. Exactly. It sounds exactly like the things that I like. Confirmed. So once we determined our season, went through a few of our complementary colors, the best kind of color palettes, we then went on to the skin tone, which she had a cute little beepy thing to determine my skin tone, and mine pulled neutral to neutral cool, which I was honestly interested in because normally whenever I'm shopping for makeup, I know it's actually a big topic, like trying to find what your makeup undertone is for products like foundation and concealers. It can be very tough, and I'm certain I have a lot more to learn there. So when she said neutral cool, I was very fascinated by that because typically I buy products that are like very much a true neutral. I don't like anything that pulls too yellow. I don't like anything that pulls too pink because I do have a lot of redness in my cheeks and in my skin, but my actual undertone I think is true neutral, and that's just been from my own makeup exploration and shopping. So I was interested to see that she said neutral cool because I stay far away from neutral cool, like pinky makeup, because that can often make me look quite sickly. So that was an interesting finding for the skin undertone, but still fascinating to see. And I'll take the neutral. I'll take the neutral and I'm going to run with it. The next section was the metals. What kind of jewelry tones complement you the best? And I was very interested in this. I was curious to see what was going to come up because we have been dabbling much more into the silver life, but I'm a gold gal through and through. My heart lies with gold, so I was actually a little bit nervous to see what she was going to say, but she held up the little different tones of metal for jewelry. And it was really interesting because confirmed that my most complimentary shade was a soft gold, like a champagne gold versus like a very brassy kind of yellowy gold, which is very much what I gravitate towards anyway in my jewelry. So that was my number one. And then in her little chart, actually, she said that I kind of suit both of the silvers. It kind of just depends what I'm wearing and what goes with that the best, but kind of confirmed the way that I usually live anyway. Number one is my gold, and then I happily dabble into the world of silver if it suits me best. The funny thing is when she held up the rose gold sheet, it was an immediate hell nah. It made my face look so sick and so unwell. It pulled out all of the pink that's in my face and it just didn't look good. And I was so happy that that was confirmed for me because I've never liked rose gold on me. It's never been a shade that I have enjoyed or worn. Confirmed that my jewelry metal preferences are aligned with what is best suited for my overall season. Okay, the next section is a little bit of a doozy. Bear with me because I didn't even know she was going to do this. I fully thought I was going to go find out my season, do my colors, and be done with it. But she was like, okay, now we're going to talk about your contrast. And I was like, contrast? What's this? I had no idea what she was going to do, but she pulled out this really fun piece of fabric with a bunch of different sizes of stripes on it. And she held out each one and she was like, we're going to determine what your contrast is. And at first I was like, girl, you crazy, what are you talking about? But as she went through the different sizes of stripes and how different it made my face look, I was like, what does this mean?
So the bigger the patterns are, the higher the contrasts are. Maybe a little too busy. It even makes you look a little gray compared to the bigger ones. The higher contrasts bring out the natural contrast on your face.
I didn't even know this was a thing. So apparently the thicker the stripe, the wider the stripe, determines if you're high contrast or low contrast. So based on my Google searches and my brief discussion with her about contrast, we determined first of all that I am a high contrast individual, and that means that there is a difference between your skin tone and your hair color. So I've got a very pale skin tone and I have darker hair, so my contrast is higher. Whereas if you have very light skin and you have blonde hair, or if you have very dark skin and dark hair, you're a low contrast individual. So there is a bunch of different things that she said that you can kind of focus on whether or not you're high contrast or low contrast, which was really interesting. And the size of the stripes was something that I had never considered before, but when she went down to like really thin stripes, very low contrast stripes, I just looked weird. I kind of looked like I was in jail, and jail kind of gave this like overall sad look to my face, which was crazy. And then the wider the stripe just kind of added this brightness to my face, and that was wild. It was something I never considered before. But what a helpful, fun little tip to have when you're getting dressed. So the stripes was crazy. Then she also pulled up the pattern. So she had a pattern of flowers, and she had some really big flowers versus some really small flowers. It was so crazy. It was so weird. Something I've never considered. I never heard about it. Maybe I've been living under a rock, but the high contrast versus low contrast with the patterns and the stripes was really, really cool to see. My jaw was on the floor. So then the next thing that she did for contrast was compared the collar types. So she did some pointy collars versus some round collars. I guess in my own dressing, I generally go towards like a much more sharp kiki style collar anyway, but kind of seeing them side by side really reconfirmed my feelings that they were correct. And I didn't realize that like a pointy versus a round also kind of fell into that high contrast versus low contrast category. So that was really interesting to see as well. And we determined a few of my other necklines that are preferred, which were a crew neck, a turtleneck. You guys know I love me a turtleneck, and a steep V-neck, and then the wider kind of boat neck styles were a few of the necklines that were preferred. And I'm so sorry, I do forget what the other ones were. She just did a little doodle of the necklines that suited me best there, so I'm sorry I don't have the other ones that didn't suit me, and right now I'm blanking on it, but hate. Hate. You get the point. The other thing she said in the realm, in the world of contrast, was material types. And she said that the high contrast individuals tend to gravitate towards more soft and muted materials like wool and suede, and that the low contrast individuals tend to gravitate towards the more shinier, more leather type materials, which again was very interesting and very true to what my natural preferences are and what I naturally gravitate towards. So that was like really interesting. And out of the entire experience, I think that learning that I was high contrast, which again was something that maybe I already naturally do in my styling and my getting ready and the preferences that I already hold, but just kind of putting it into words and shifting your perspective to think about that is always helpful. So even in the days since I did my color analysis and I learned that I was high contrast, the other day I put on a light blue shirt and I put on light blue jeans, and I was like, oh, this is giving very low contrast. Let me switch it up and put my darker pants on. And instantly my outfit and overall look changed. So it was kind of the most applicable section to my daily life, learning that I was high contrast versus anything else, because I think that that can help aid in more tricky styling situations, whereas I think it's very easy to see what kind of colors suit you best just by putting it on. Sometimes you put a color of a sweater on and you're like, ugh, no, this looks terrible, I look sick. Whereas I might not think to switch up my outfit to be more high contrast. Like that's not something that was in my brain before. So that was the most helpful, most interesting section out of the entire thing for me, I think. And I'm super curious to know if you guys knew about this high versus low contrast, and is that something you've ever thought about? And if not, is it something you're going to go look into? Because I thought it was incredibly helpful. So this was now nearing the end of my appointment. We determined my season, my undertones, my preferred jewelry metals, and then the contrast. So then at the end, she kind of went through each of those sections, and she had cute little collages of different categories that kind of suited each season and all the tones. So a few of the things she said for my deep autumn high contrast life were the color types, which we already touched on. For makeup, the shades that are most flattering were the warm neutrals, rich deep colors, and oranges, which made me so happy. Obviously in that moment didn't tell her about Picante, but I was like, you have no idea how much you have just justified my lifelong obsession with orange and my blush Picante that I created with Nude Sticks. I was like, perfect, say less. But she was literally like oranges, and I was like, can you say that again to get that for the vlog? Yeah, so the makeup tones is more on the earthy side, so warmer earthy tones, and then
red orange for the lips, and then kind of like orange for the blush as well.
Red orange. Amazing. Guys, picante. I don't know what to say. For hair colors, she suggested that I try a deep purple or a shade of red or black, basically just kind of heightening that high contrast between my hair color and my skin color. And I was like, girl, I don't know. The last time I dyed my hair black was like 2012. But then she also said that the deeper shades of brown with like golden highlights is really favorable for that deep autumn season. So I was like, okay, we'll keep rocking with the brown and we'll keep rocking with my little highlights that At Hair by Armani puts around my face. And that was also approved. But perhaps someday I'll try it red or a deep purple. I don't know if that's in the cards anytime soon, but apparently that would suit me best. Oh, then she also went into fragrances, and she said that the preferences for deep autumns are leathery, woody, santal, amber vibes. And I was like, wow, who'd have thunk? Because my favorite fragrances are Replica by the Fireplace, Tom Ford Amber Leather, and Malin and Getz Leather. I was like, perfect. I am literally basking in everything that is deep autumn, apparently, according to her chart. So that was hilarious to see. And that pretty much wraps up the appointment. So when the appointment was done, she gave me this lovely little chart that she was marking up on her iPad, which gave me my like primary, secondary, is it tertiary? Why, you know when something just suddenly sounds wrong? Anyway, she gave me all of my seasons, colors, my preferred colors. I got some fun little color wheels in here. Basically everything. She gave me this chart to kind of take home, and then she gave me a few other little printout color palettes, which was very cute. So that was my appointment. I honestly felt like it was so fun. I definitely have some takeaways that can be applied to my everyday styling and makeup and just general understanding about who I am visually as a person. It was really fun to do, and I can see why people are obsessed with it. However, if you are curious about doing a color analysis yourself, they can be spendy. My appointment was $200. I spent $200. A few of them that I've seen online have been like $700. I've seen ones that are over $1,000 for the same color analysis. People are doing that over FaceTime. I'm like, listen, it doesn't need to be this crazy expensive thing. Obviously, people do actual training for this. They do certifications in the color analysis. Elisha said that she did her training in Korea, which was super cool. I do not deny that people are experts in this and they are charging for their time, and that is so fine. But for those of us who don't necessarily want to spend such money on an appointment, you can also do it for free. So I was chatting with my girlfriends. I actually went for dinner with them after I did the color analysis, and they were like, oh my gosh, we did it on ChatGPT. And I've seen people doing it on ChatGPT on TikTok. And so I decided to try the chat. It's so hard for me to say that. ChatGPT. I'm just gonna call it the chat, okay? I decided to do the chat version to see how it compared to my in-person appointment. So I'm gonna link the TikTok below that I followed. If you have an iPhone, it's very easy to do this. There's just like a couple of steps that you have to do. You have to take a picture of yourself and then determine the shades of your eye, your skin, and your hair, and you get a little code, and then you plug it into ChatGPT and you're like, hello, do my color analysis. So the ChatGPT version for me also says that my colors lean towards warm and muted tones. It suggests that I fall into the autumn category, and autumn individuals typically have warm undertones and look best in earthy and rich colors. So I got the same season through ChatGPT, so that was great. Then when I asked about the contrast, it actually said that I could be medium to high contrast. So while it didn't delve into all of the specifics, like the colors, like the materials, like the patterns, I'm sure that if you kept asking ChatGPT, it might be able to spit out more options. Like I'm sure you could pry that out of it. But also once you know your season, you can go on Google and Google all of these things about your season. I'm sure you can find so much information. Like there's so much information for free. I think that the trickiest part is just determining what your season is. Once you know what your season is, there's so much free information online. So you could go watch all the YouTube videos, you could read all the blogs. I was looking up all the things about deep autumn and I was like, perfect. Now I know all of these fun things about myself for free. So just know that you don't have to be pressured into doing a very expensive paid appointment. There are ways for you to determine your season at zero cost, and you can also just guess, because what I learned was that I was already pretty much doing all of these things. As you grow up and as you spend time in your skin and you learn about your own personal style and your preferences, I do believe that a lot of us can determine these things for ourselves, but it's just a fun thing to do. It's a fun thing to have confirmation about. And if you're struggling in your personal style and struggling to determine what kind of shades and styling preferences suit you best, it's just a step in the right direction. It's kind of like having a little cheat code, and then it just gives you those applicable takeaways and those little sound bites and kind of styling practices to apply in your everyday life. And it's just one less thing that you have to think about when you're like, oh no, I know that doesn't look good on me. I know my season. You keep that deep winter purple away from me, okay? Thank you so much for recommending that I do this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed coming along and seeing my findings and what I learned from the color analysis, and I would love to hear about your experience if you have done a similar appointment or determined your analysis for yourself. Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for being here and for watching, you guys, and I will see you all tomorrow for a new Everyday May video. Bye! Has anyone ever told you that you have the most intense ASMR voice ever?